This video will change the way you look at a certain character in One Piece completely. Not only have we learned new information in chapter 1059, this theory has already been part of the One Piece community for 14 years, since 2008. Yes, it is obvious. I mean, you probably already know which character I'm going to talk about, especially if you came here because you saw the thumbnail. This theory is an extension to the idea that Sir Crocodile, the Desert King, was once a woman. It can technically also tie in with the Crocomom theory, which is a very wild theory that Crocodile is actually the mother of Luffy. And if you want to learn more about that theory, I am going to link you a video up from O'Hara talking about that, because I feel like he's fallen into that rabbit hole quite deep. The idea that Crocodile was a woman in the past and maybe once again in the future is connected to Ivankov. Because Ivankov once said, I think it was during the Impel Down prison break, that he will reveal Crocodile's weakness, and other translations called it like Crocodile's secrets. And that could mean a lot of different things. If you think about it openly, Crocodile's weakness could also just be water, because he's a sand logia devil fruit, so water is his weakness, but not many people might know that. But his weakness or secret could also be that Ivankov sometime in the past turned Crocodile into a man. But we don't know that yet, so let's see how that turns out. Anyways, most people, myself included actually, jumped on the idea that Crocodile once was a woman or female. Because that is, well, there are many hints for that, and I feel like if Oda doesn't do that, many people will now feel like that there were too many hints for Crocodile being female at one point. This idea increased even more in popularity when Oda revealed what Crocodile looked like as a child. His appearance was quite gender neutral after all. But with all that said, let's get into the meat of my theory. Crocodile was the empress of the Kuja Tribe before Hancock. It might sound crazy, at first especially, but the more you think about it, the more it starts to make sense, so join me on this journey. In chapter 522, Gloriosa stated that the two empresses before Hancock died of the same disease that Hancock is currently fighting, because Hancock was quite sick in that chapter. And we shortly after also learned that this sickness is love sickness. At first you might think that's not really interesting, it's just two unnamed characters that apparently died. Yes, apparently, because this is One Piece and we all know, unless you see a character die in a page, and even then, you can't really be 100% sure that they are actually dead. Because now in chapter 1059, we learned that one of these apparently dead empresses is not actually dead. Chucky was the empress 2 generations before Boa. Instead of being dead, she looks pretty fit and healthy to me, living happily with her husband Rayleigh on like Sabaody Archipelago. And I think living with Rayleigh has also kept her quite young. So at that point I started thinking, maybe it is not so much a literal death, but a figurative death. Like, because leaving the island, especially to get together with a man, basically means that you are dead for the Kuja tribe. And if Shaki is actually alive, why not the other empress as well? If we take a look at the 3 empresses we know, we see that they perfectly fit into different eras. Gloriosa, the empress from 3 generations ago, ruled around the time Rox was mostly active. Then Shaki came. Shaki became the leader during Roger's era, meeting Rayleigh at some point of a rule and just hooking up with him, I guess. And then finally we have Hancock, who is ruling right now, in what we could call Luffy's era, or maybe Blackbeard's, or maybe Buggy's era, who knows. That leaves one era open, namely, well, let's just call it Shanks' era. Anyone active in that era, or like who started around the same time as Shanks, is now around at least 40 years old or might be approaching 50. And our candidate, Crocodile, like he fits perfectly into that age gap. Crocodile is currently 46 years old. He has the right age, and looking at his childhood, he was always raised to fight. Even though a gun is an uncommon weapon for a Kuja member, Something I also noticed when I tried to look for even more clues is Crocodile's current bounty. It is actually 1,965,000,000 berries, and Hancock's current bounty is 1,659,000,000 berries. I instantly thought that these two bounties look very similar, so I started thinking why that is. And do you see it already? If we isolate the 965 or the 965 and the 659 parts, all we need to do is pull the last number from Boa's bounty to the front. And while I already see the stretch myself, this might not be a coincidence, but a hint that Crocodile was the empress before Boa. After all you need to do is pull the last number of Boa's bounty before the other two numbers. You get Crocodile's. The last, as the last empress before Boa or the previous empress. So yes, take it however you want it. I just was thinking maybe these bounties don't just look similar because randomness, but actually because there is a reason behind it. I know that Crocodile's bounty of 900, like the 965 part, can be read as Kuroku, which is like for crocodile, and I don't know the pun for Hancock's bounty, but there might be more to it than just a pun. So, Crocodile was the empress before Boa. After all you need to do is pull the last number, like I said. But I already know that I'm grasping at air myself, so if you have any other clues, you can also put them down in the comments and tell me why you think Crocodile actually might be the empress before Boa Hancock. Maybe he is Boa Crocodile or whatever his female name used to be. Crocodile being so heavily gender focused, just like the Kuja Empress, just made me to connect the dots even more. On one hand, we have Sir Crocodile, who is also known as the Desert King. And on the other hand, we have Boa as the Snake Princess or Pirate Empress. So on the one hand, we have the king, on the other hand, we have the princess. And well, obviously, if you gender reverse the king, you get the queen. So Crocodile, I feel like, is one of the few characters that are like this heavily focused on his gender. So that's just one of the more reasons why people think that he might have been female, and now he's just over focusing on just appearing to be male. Another jump for this crazy idea, well, where do snakes live? I know that snakes live in many different places, but they also live in deserts. So as the previous Snake Princess or Snake Empress, maybe Crocodile decided to go into the desert to hide as a snake. But for now, let's go to the cherry on top of everything else. Let's go to Crocomom. The idea of Crocomom is, as I said, that Crocodile is Luffy's biological mother. There are many theories talking about this, but there are not that many clues without stretching the two parts here and there. Like, Crocodile was very mad at Marineford, and we don't really know why, but it was shortly after that, like, he heard that Luffy is the child of Dragon, and if Crocodile is actually the mother of, or like the partner of Dragon, but he or she never got like the time to be with their child, he wouldn't know who Luffy is until the moment that he hears that Luffy is the son of Dragon, and that's why he was so mad, because he was once like trying to kill his own child. But let's see, what other clues are there for Crocodile maybe having met Dragon and being like partners with each other? Now, the interesting part. Crocodile has information about ancient weapons that are not openly available. So I don't think that the world government would give someone like a member of the Seven Warlords just a member of about Pluton or the ancient weapons. So Crocodile had to have some other way to learn about this information. And one person who has this information, I guess, would be the leader of the Revolutionary Army. Or I guess Dragon wasn't the leader of the army just yet then, but I guess he would already have quite a few information about the world, because he had this idea of revolutionary for a long time. So I guess Crocodile learned a lot of stuff because of Dragon. Age-wise, they also match up if you think about it. Crocodile is 64 and Dragon is 55. A 9-year age gap is no problem for this idea. Also, another panel in chapter 522 has Gloriosa saying this. They have this saying in the East Blue, or in the East Sea. Love is always like a hurricane. First of all, that's very specific, Gloriosa. Why are you specifically talking about the East Sea, or what we would assume as the East Blue? After all, we are currently talking about a situation where Boa is heavily in love with Luffy, and I don't think she knows that Luffy is from the East. But where did she ever hear that saying from that comes from the East? Well, maybe Dragon, who also comes from the East, at some time said that to her. That he arrived there when at one point, or maybe he met with Gloriosa at one point when he was already together with Crocodile or something, and then he said the thing with love is always like a hurricane. And this saying coming from the East Blue and also having like this wind theme just makes me think of Dragon, because Dragon is from the East and we all know that whenever there's something wind related, it's always connected to Dragon. Just think of his first appearance in Locktown. We all thought, or maybe are still thinking, that he has like a wind devil fruit, or a storm devil fruit, or maybe a wind god devil fruit. Who knows, but he for sure has something wind related or weather related. That is what most of us commonly believe. So just join me on this short journey. What if Dragon somehow met Crocodile and they fell in love with each other? It was still before Dragon fully started the revolutionary army. Heck, we even know that the both of them met before. Well, or probably have met. Both of them were present at Roger's execution. It is a weird place to have your first date, but we live in the One Piece world, so we don't judge any of them here. They got closer and closer until they had Luffy together, I guess. So, however, knowing like that Dragon's future path will be very dangerous, and a boy won't be welcome on Amazon Lily, Dragon and his wife, Crocodile, both decided that it would be for the best if Luffy got handed over to Garp to keep him safe from everything. But that's not where it ended. Dragon also didn't want to endanger his wife. He might know that as the Kuja Empress that she is not weak, but the places he wants to go, not being weak is not enough. So he also decided to leave her behind for her own safety. From that point onward, he never answered her calls from the Denden Mushis, or never revealed his location or any information about himself so that she could find him. So at this point, Crocodile, or the previous Empress, returned to Amazon Lily, and the other Kuja Tribe members didn't know about her relationship with a man. They just thought like she finally returned after doing pirate work for a few years. And more years went by. Hancock and her sisters returned together with the banished Gloriosa, because Gloriosa was banished for being lovesick and seeking out men to live together with. But now that Crocodile has experienced love, like him or herself, and knows what it feels like to be lovesick, he or she basically pardons Gloriosa and lets her live again on the islands. But from this point onward, Crocodile can never forget about the time with Dragon and always thinks how her child Luffy might be doing. This goes on until Crocodile, or Crocomom, can't handle the love sickness anymore, leaving behind only a letter for her people saying that she will never return. So that is how Boa became the next Empress, I would guess. And her plan was to do something, to prove her strength to Dragon and to the world, that she is not weak and doesn't need to be left behind. First step was to hide her appearance, hide her identity. And that would be the case of, well, going to Ivankov and changing the gender. And that is how we got the male Crocodile. Now it's a man, and the man tried to prove his strength. That was the point where Crocodile tried to fight against people like non-canon Douglas Bullets or even Whitebeards, but he noticed himself that he is not strong enough to fight against these people. That connection is also the reason Crocodile doesn't wear a ring on his ring finger. We just recently saw a panel where Crocodile was holding Buggy up with his hair, and Crocodile wears like rings on every single finger on his hands, but one finger that is open is his ring finger. And that would maybe mean he doesn't want to be tied down anymore, or he won't put that ring on again until Crocodile like approves of his husband, or like until Dragon approves of Crocodile and they finally can return to being a couple. But the idea of Crocomom also like gets already halted by Oda saying that Luffy's mom won't be important because, well, mothers are less like, they are more careful and less like adventurous. So maybe that's the reason why Crocodile is not the mom. But maybe the previous Kuja Empress can be Luffy's mom and is actually dead, who knows? But that's all from this theory. What do you think about it? Do you think that Crocodile was the previous Kuja Empress? Or do you think that there was some other scenario here? It could also, like I said, just be that the Kuja Empress was actually like Dragon's wife and Luffy's mom, but she's actually dead. But Crocodile is always open for theories, because if you go through the One Piece community, I feel like there are the most theories going on about Crocodile, even more than about Luffy or other members of the Straw Hats. So all that's left for me to say is basically stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. This has been Pyro Prima with another video, and we will see each other again on Monday. Until then, take care. Bye!